I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
And this is Vast. That's my boy.
This is for Dream and Digital.
Alright. All you obituary fans, look, man. We tried every possible way to get that song to you guys. We couldn't make it happen.
You saw what they did to us.
You saw what happened. There's nothing that can be done. So, very apologetic about that, but we're back to our regular scheduled program. For timely topical political commentary.
That song was like cursed from the beginning. We couldn't get the lyrics for months.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, go ahead.
For timely topical political commentary, you can hit us up at Middle America with Vin and Sori. I'm about to shoot a Middle America video right after this. We'll probably do a, what do you call it, fireside tonight. Crazy stuff happening in the world, ladies and gentlemen. Also, there are multiple ways to get your song reviewed, dear listener. My favorite way is a community option. $1 to get you into the Patreon, where you get to meet all the most amazing people on the planet. The best thing is you get to pull your points together, and that helps determine what song we do. There's also, a $5 tier, $10 tier, yada, yada, yada. We've got music coming out. We've got a special treat for Patreons. So if you're a 5 or above, we've got a special treat for you guys coming very, very soon in the next 3 days. So there's just a lot of really cool stuff on there, but the best thing, obviously, is to be able to get your song reviewed. Now, if you are a filthy capitalist like Sori, and you don't want to wait, and you want to hop, skip, and jump in front of everybody, and you don't care about working on a team because you're an individualist and you're not a collectivist, $125 gets you straight to the head of the line where you get to decide, and that's what the big homie did here. You do that 3 times, and then you get bumped down to the $75 rate. Now, having said all of that, that's my boy Vast. Let's go. It's like the dude from,
That's my boy, American son. Hope I'm not around when he gets the idea to buy a gun. Some boy, America's gone. Hope we're not to blame when he gets the idea to kill someone. The flag's been broken by an enemy, raised on MTV, raised on you and me. How have you ever really loved someone? How have you ever really loved someone?
Very disturbing.
Wow.
I'm trying to find that thing.
What thing?
That was a show, right?
Yeah.
What was the show he said it was?
American... It's in this here somewhere.
American Horror Story.
Horror Story. Wow. That
Holy
would
hell.
be really, really terrible.
What would be terrible?
Well, I mean, this to me is coming from the perspective, obviously, of the parents saying, but I think that that's a really weird thing to say. I hope we're not to blame when he gets the idea to kill someone. I hope I'm not around when he gets the idea to buy a gun. That part, I was like, really? That's weird. I mean,
Well, I'm not
if
sure.
my kid was gonna buy a gun, I would hope that I would be around to
Well, yeah,
talk
but
about the idea.
I'm not sure that they're incarnating as the parents.
What do you think?
It might just be America itself. They might be just incarnating as America, and this is America's son or whatever. So it could be a double entendre, which I assumed that the singer was America itself. I didn't assume that it was as a parent, but I mean you can
American Son.
right. So
Yeah.
I mean you can do both because there's a certain demographic in our country that does these active shooter things, man.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
it's like you can never. Matter of fact, I was reading an interview with some of these the high school or the school friends of this Kyle Rittenhouse, whatever his name is, and they were like, "Yeah, we definitely thought that he was. If somebody was to be a shooter, it would be him. Like he had that type of energy. You know what I mean?"
Mm-hmm. It's not always the case, though.
So.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
I remember that's one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life was I had to go through this, this course, and part of the course was looking at Columbine and what happened. And so there's like video of what was going down in Columbine and whatever. And, it's a pretty tough thing to watch. And especially like, this is going to sound very weird, but in war, there's a certain like holiness or sacredness of the action that you're committing on both sides. Mm-hmm. And that's why these guys, when wars are over, they become friends, these people on the enemy lines. But these active shooter things, it's just this very, just complete disregard for...
Yeah.
So it's sort of like a lived out nihilism where it's like they've come to some conclusion that life isn't really that precious and they go around it.
Yeah.
And of course, the Rittenhouse, I don't know, I can never pronounce this kid's name properly, but that wasn't the case with him. I mean, he was obviously scared to death. And he looked like a little kid. The kid that shot up all those people a couple days ago. Like, dudes are calling for his head, and I'm like, he's a 17-year-old kid. Like, he got put in a very adult situation, and, and honestly...
He shot somebody in the head, babe.
Yeah, the guy came after him. He's a 17-year-old punk kid. Like, we've got a kid that if he had a weapon, he absolutely would have done
Oh,
the
I
same.
know.
Yeah.
I
What
know
was he
that.
supposed to do?
That's why I would tell him, don't you even dare leave this house. You're not
Well,
going down.
yeah, but see, that person wouldn't even put himself in that situation. But like, what do you think he's? What was the kid supposed to do? There, like 2 seconds before this dude charged him. First of all, we saw the video. The guy was coming after him.
I actually didn't see that.
Yeah. The dude was coming. He was like, "Shoot me, nigga! Shoot me, nigga!" He's a white guy. Around a bunch of black people. It was
And
so
then he
weird.
shot him?
It's such a strange situation. Well, then then you see later on, there's all this chaos, and then somebody shot into the air a handgun. They shot their pistol into the air, and then 2 seconds later, this dude is charging this kid. So I mean, that to me is completely justifiable self-defense, in my opinion. I mean, what's the kid supposed to? That's a pretty big ask. And then the kid's trying to run away, and dudes tackle him, beat the hell out of him with a skateboard. They try to take his gun. They try to take his weapon from him. So he shot that guy. And then there was another guy that had a gun, like pointed at him, and that guy was like, "Oh, I'm so pissed that I hesitated." Da 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 da. Oh yeah, because these people are like these people now are at a point where they want to kill each other. Like that's where it's at. So he's like, I regret not shooting. He said, I regret hesitating. because he had that like last stretch of humanity left in him, and he sees a 17-year-old kid on the ground, and this kid looks like a kid.
He does.
And he was scared to death, and you know, the kid got his off before he got his off. He hesitated, and so that cost him his arm pretty much.
Maybe that's why he's saying,
What?
I regret hesitating.
Well, no,
now he's paid the price.
he regrets hesitating because he wanted to kill the kid because two of his buddies got killed.
By that kid.
Yeah, but I mean, I just think that it's.
Man. I don't want to be put in a situation.
Well, that's the thing is, like, I think it's just all these silly militia people or whatever. I'm pissed at them for putting that kid in that situation. They should have said, "Hey, kid, you know, nightfall comes, go home," or whatever. Like, obviously, you know, he got separated. Somehow he got separated from his group, and he was by himself. And I completely understand why he did what he did. Now, the right wingers glorifying it and saying "ha ha" and all the triumphalism is absolutely sick and just sickening.
Jeez.
But you know, Americans, and you know, on the Middle America Forum, we've got people that are not just Americans. So AO is there, and he's like, I talked about there's 320 million Americans, and then we've got 400 million guns. So, you know, it's about to get bloody in the streets, and he's like, just abolish the Second Amendment. Like, he doesn't realize
I know how
that if the
Americans
government
are about
did that, there would actually be way more
absolutely.
blood. There would be oceans of blood instead of rivers of blood if that happened. Because he doesn't. But I think it's hard for people outside of this country to understand the affection. People kiss their guns. They cradle them like children. Like, it's insane.
It's like a religion.
100% true.
You know, they're dedicated to their guns like they're dedicated to their religion.
100% true. You know, Obama made that controversial statement, I think, in 2004, where he said, you know, all these people have is their guns and their religion.
Yeah.
And people are, 2008, people are like, oh my God, he's right. Like, a lot of them, like, that's, and a lot of these people are socialized to believe that the gun is what got them their independence and what's going to maintain freedom and things like that.
Well, there's a lot of security that's wrapped up in that weapon.
Well, but none of them think to themselves that the gun actually creates the necessity for itself. Mm-hmm. They don't think about that. Like, so, like, for Philando Castile, he was legally able
in some cases.
He was legally able to carry the firearm, and that's the reason the cop blew him away, and that's also the reason the cop got off without any charges, of course. And in a lot of these situations, the gun creates its own necessity. So now, you know, these dudes are walking around, you know, open carry and all that stuff, and now you got people on the other side. You got people on both sides who are like, "Oh, word, okay. Oh, y'all escalating it there, okay." You know, it's just like, it's just crazy. So I think outside of America, people have no idea what it's like as far as how. And then what happens is, even if you're not a gun person, when you start seeing this stuff on the media, you're like, holy shit. So, like, for example, during the Obama administration, this is why I'm telling you that Tasco and everybody else who just thinks, oh, just get rid of the guns or pass more stringent gun laws. Every single time during the Obama administration that there was an active...
That's what Tasco says?
Yeah.
I'm so surprised. I thought he would be like De Herrera.
No. There's two Tascos in our community. So there's the thrice Tasco, and then there's the European Tasco from.
Okay.
Actually, he's Australian, or he's from New Zealand.
Who's the one that has the tattoo as his
He's
picture?
from New Zealand.
That's the New Zealand one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I'm surprised.
Oh, no, he's completely on the left.
In my mind, he was like De Herrera.
No. He's completely on the left.
That's so interesting.
He's just, well, he's not on the left. Like, he's like a standard European. Europeans don't understand not having Medicare for all. They don't understand the gun thing. They don't get it.
Okay.
So, like, but just to illustrate Americans and their guns. During the Obama administration, every single time there was an active shooter situation, two things would happen. One, Obama would get on TV and say, we need more stringent gun laws. And two, gun sales would skyrocket.
Yep.
This is after an active shooter situation where a bunch of kids get killed, and then Piers Morgan would get on CNN. He said, "How much more kids have to die?" Because Piers Morgan's from Europe, so he doesn't. The Europeans don't understand it, because to Europeans, I think England had an active shooter situation like '95 or something, and they like did this aggressive buyback program, and everybody kind of capitulated. But you guys have a king and a queen, and like no disrespect, I'm just saying. Europeans are especially like over there in the UK, like they're conditioned to like submit to the government or whatever, and the crown, and if you make a song like the Sex Pistols did, like you're crazy, that's really to Americans it's like, okay, you said something crazy about it. Like in America there's a virtue of not only going against the government but violently threatening your government. I think it was like forgot who it was that basically says the tree of liberty from time to time must be watered with the blood of tyrants, right? Like I think it's Jefferson or one of those people.
I think it was Jefferson.
So like that's our country was born in blood and guns. So when Obama comes out and says very rationally, "Hey, we got to do something about these automatic weapons or whatever," Jefferson said it. Okay, so like when Obama, in my mind, was saying some very common sense things about guns and restrictions that I know guys who are, like actual warriors or whatever, and they're like, yeah, I don't feel like civilians should be ammunition. Like it's a crazy situation. But they'll never say it publicly. Because they will literally lose millions of dollars if they did.
It's crazy because it really makes the words of Jesus stand out. If you live by the sword, you will die by the sword.
100%
And you
true.
think about how we liberated the slaves.
100%
And how
true.
we liberated ourselves from Britain. And it's always been the sword for us. And
always
now
been the gun.
it's our babies that are getting killed by the sword because we refuse to put that down. We have to live by it.
100%. 100%. And it's one of those things where there was a confrontation where we lived, and it was about to get very bloody and physical, and we went up there in the middle, like right in the middle of it, and people were extremely angry. And so I started saying
A lot of people too.
Well, yeah,
Just a couple.
and they had the right to be angry because dudes went after a girl, and these are street people.
Yeah.
You're not gonna do that to street people, and they're not gonna take that. They're not gonna take that laying down. So I remember, and I was saying, well, Jesus, yada yada yada, and one of them was like, "Shut the fuck up, preacher! Ain't nobody trying to hear that shit." And by God's grace, I was able to find the leader, the actual leader, and I just put it on him. I said, "You know what's about to happen." I said, you are gonna be fine either way. But you got a whole bunch of little people who are following you. They're gonna catch one of your folks by themselves, and you're gonna get got, and this is gonna escalate. And I said, on top of that, there's a whole bunch of kids in this park, whole bunch of white kids in this park, because there was a racial element. There's a whole bunch of white kids in this park, and you know that these dudes are animals. I was playing on their little, whatever. I said, these dudes are animals. I don't go fuck if their kids or not.
I'm surprised you did
And I said, that shit's gonna be on you. And he said, well, if you'll go down there with me, we'll squash the beef or whatever. So I went down there, and there's a lot of Muslims down there, so I brought up Jesus again, and we were able to stymie the violence. But I remember when I first read the Sermon on the Mount, things that Jesus was saying, and I was just like, yeah, this is very, because I didn't really start reading Jesus until like I hit like high school. Because I thought Jesus was boring. Like, Moses was my guy. like Joshua Moses, like, there's a problem, like, nigga's gonna die. You're gonna die. You're gonna mess with Moses, the fucking...
he killed that Egyptian?
Yeah, exactly. That oppressive ass Egyptian.
And then when he said, like, I can't stand it with these people
I'm done
anymore.
with these
like,
people.
I'm so done with
He's
it
like,
because God's in charge of all these people.
Yeah, you deal with them, God.
Yeah.
I'm done with these people, these evil ass people. So when I first read the Sermon on the Mount, I didn't read the Sermon on the Mount until I was like a teenager, and by that time it was too late. I was in the Bronx, whatever. And I was like, yeah, this is something that like really holy people do, and it's a nice ideal, yada yada yada. And then the older you got, the more you realized,
It's the only
holy
way,
shit,
yeah.
it is the only
Yeah.
way. This is not like a suggestion for super spiritual people. Like, this is literally the only way,
Yep.
or we're all gonna die.
Yep. The other crazy thing too is that like one of the first things said in the Bible is it talks about people being made in the image of God. Both men and women are made in the image of God. So it means that we represent God, we show what he's like, and we have this incredible value, every single one of us. And when you look at how that situation first popped off, the white people were picking up trash to try to like just pick up the community, and then the Somalians were coming in and they were like, yeah, that's right, slave, pick it up. And so they were treating them subhuman, but that's the way the white people treated the black people years ago, as subhuman.
Right.
And so like there was just like this mess that was happening because people have not been treated as human in the past, and people were being treated less than now, and then that's what kind of popped the whole thing off.
The girl used the N-word, and then they just beat the hell out of her. I mean, you're talking about like,
and her kids were there, I think,
15,
too.
20 kids.
I'm pretty sure her kids were there, right?
Nah, because it was at night. It was like 15, 20 kids on a dude and his girlfriend, and like he was trying to protect her, but like she was tore.
Am I mixing up two stories? Weren't they picking up trash and that's how the thing?
Yeah, they were picking up trash. No, that
At night?
happened, but it was happening like at night when everything was like calmed down.
Oh,
And
there used to be so much trash in that park.
Yeah. And you know, somebody said something reckless, and she said something back, and then the whole damn park fell on them. And like they were the next day, man, they were
some
tooling
brass
up.
knuckles and stuff was involved.
It was knives. Oh yeah, these dudes had knives. They had they were like they were gonna get bloody, and somebody was gonna get. Which of course, it happened again, and that time we weren't there, and somebody actually ended up dying. Kind of a freak. Well, somebody it was a brick, threw a brick at his head, and he died. Which again goes back to the Rittenhouse situation, because the first dude, the dude that got shot in the head, he threw something like he had a plastic bag, and that plastic bag traveled. So people were like, oh, well, first people were saying it's a Molotov cocktail. That's bullshit. Like, no, it wasn't. It was a plastic bag. However, the plastic bag traveled, so there was something there, and so. I mean, it's without question I'm sure the kid's gonna be fine.
And that guy got hit by a brick, and then years later he wasn't there to protect someone in his family, and so a dude went after a girl in his family, and then she got killed. It's like it was just a domino effect. That's the same guy, right?
Which guy?
Isn't that the one, that kid that you talked to?
Oh yeah.
So it's like all interconnected with this violence.
Yeah. There's so much of it down there now. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, like, it's a really crazy situation. But this is where we are in America, you know, and it's insane, and it's only gonna get worse because our president is not doing anything. Like Trump, this is really where he's really at his weakest. He doesn't know how to bring people together. And he doesn't, like, he is clearly taking sides on these boilerplate issues, and it's fracturing the country, and he doesn't. All he cares about. I'm watching. He was talking about Biden and Biden's poll numbers. It's like you got folks burying their families. You got a dude paralyzed in a hospital. You got so much shit happening, and all he can talk about is his poll numbers and whatever.
Yeah, it's wild. I saw like this video, like somebody was just driving and just like videoing the city, and like everything was just burning, and there was trash everywhere, and it was like I understand why the rioting is happening, but it doesn't seem like a whole lot is being done to deal with the actual root of the issue from like a leadership standpoint. And so it's just, I don't know, this whole thing has just gotten way too big. Like I understand why the riots are happening. I just don't think it needed to get that far. I think that we should have done something about it before. Like we should have seen the humanity in other people and have been treating them with the respect that we would want our, friends and family treated with.
Yeah, and I just, it's pretty crazy. But I think at the time this song was
2004
written, it was more about the concern for active shooters. It wasn't about like the context we're in now.
Yeah, and that's what it sounds like.
But here's a crazy.
I gotta tell you, I love the sound of this song.
Yeah.
The vocal style had that eerie, really cool sound to it. It was really, really good. It was really good.
The flag's been broken by an enemy raised on MTV.
Yep. This
It's
was
gone.
sad too.
The land in my youth, yeah, it's gone and never coming back. See, I've never had one of these. Oh, the land of my youth is gone. Like I've never had that type of experience in America where I had some like rosy experience in America. But I do think there's a lot of people that are mourning the loss of you know, the America that they had. But see, this is one of the reasons why there are forces at work that don't want to see change and want things to maintain exactly as they are. So, you know, it's a crazy situation. It's horrible. And then, of course, you go from, there's certain demographics, active shooters. You know, it's like Chappelle said that, you know, when you're at the PTA meeting and talking about active shooters and everybody's looking at the white parent because the kid's, it's most likely a kid. It's 100% true. Then you look at Chicago, and these dudes in Chicago, like, they literally have scores about how many of each other they can kill. And it's exclusively black people. Like, exclusively.
That's sad.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
Jesus.
it's like, you know, the gun culture, you know, depending on the context you're in, man, you're in a lot of trouble in America, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. You can get a gun in Chicago quicker than you can get a bottle of soda. And dudes are like, you know, it's like wearing a seatbelt. You know, when you pull out of their driveway, it's like, oh, my gun. Like, I was just watching an interview with this guy, and he was talking about how his mom and sister, they're all like, they don't leave their house without guns. Like, the woman's like 65 years old. She's like packing shit. And he you know, he talks about, oh, Ma, can you get my gun from my pillow? She's like, oh yeah, baby, hold on. Like, their culture in Chicago is crazy, bro. It's like, it's insane. And it's like, you know, he's saying he's asking for a savior. You know, where's our savior? Yada yada yada.
Looking for a sign. He said, just want something to clean the blood from my numb and weary mind.
Yeah, I mean, we got to figure it out, you know. Like we got to take that shit really seriously. Like the non-violence ethos, we got to take it really seriously. And none of our politicians are going to help us because Trump. Look, I don't think Trump is maliciously dividing the country. Because honestly, if he had more awareness, he would be able to win this thing in a landslide. But he can't see any life outside of himself. Like he can't understand how people that are not him think. He can't. So he doesn't understand the optics of what it means to take the side in such a bloody argument in our country. And you look at what Abraham Lincoln was doing during the Civil War, and he was not a saint by any means, but the way that he spoke about the South and things of that nature, like it's stuff like that where obviously he took a side for whatever his motives were, and the 600,000 people ended up being killed. But if you look at the rhetoric that he was using prior to the buildup, he wasn't demonizing the South and saying, oh, like he was doing his best to keep America together. And this Trump, he has no conception whatsoever. Like, to him, it's almost like he hasn't become the president. Like, the stuff that he's saying on Twitter now about these conflicts are literally the same things he would say if he wasn't the president. And that's, to me, on the one hand, like, that's his appeal, and it works well when you're in a pre-COVID, pre-war on the streets America. But it's absolutely horrible when you're actually in a place where the country is actually looking for real leadership. And then, of course, his diehard supporters will never hold him accountable. We're going to get comments in the comment section. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Has nothing to do with Trump, blah, 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 blah. They'll never hold him accountable. They want to give him all the credit for the economic success, but then all the horrible things that he's instigated and the fuels that the fire he... And you know, I'm ambivalent toward Trump or Biden. You know, I think Biden has done it worse for black people in America. I've chronicled that diligently on Middle America. So I'm not a fan of either one of them. But this is just an area where he's absolutely just very weak. And if he had an ounce of strength in this area, I would actually be pushing for him. Because I don't think Biden is gonna do much better. I mean, look what Biden has done in this whole... This has turned into a Middle America episode. But look what Biden has done in light of all of this horror. Like, basically his handlers are like, don't let him talk, and let's just hope to God that Trump, you know, falls off the ledge again on Twitter or Facebook. Like literally, that's the leadership that we're getting. So I don't think that Biden would do much better. So if Trump had any sort of leadership in this way of trying to bring America together, I would actually be advocating for it. But he's not.
Right.
And so I go, okay, if we had Bernie in office right now, come on. Bernie would be going to the hospitals for both sides. Like, he'd be in the hospital. Like, he wouldn't be up in, Mount Olympus or whatever Trump is doing. And he definitely wouldn't be talking about his poll numbers. Like, what the hell? Bernie wouldn't. Obama would have a very conciliatory. He would buy some media time and say something to the country. Like, the country's on fire.
Yeah.
I remember Bush did that during the LA riots. Like, this is worse than the LA riots. This is our whole freaking country. It's unbelievable. Very relevant song, unfortunately. I'm gonna give it a 9.1.
It was a 10. I thought it was I loved the sound of it.
The video is extremely disturbing. The logo.
Yeah. I watched some of the video, but then I knew it was about the show and not the song. So, yeah, 10 for me.
There you go. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone. Stay safe out there, y'all.
Raised on MTV, raised on you and me. Have you ever really loved someone? Have you ever really loved someone? Something to cling.